survival of the human race, for the future survival of mankind. I am a mathematician par excellence. I've done it. And it was simple, believe it or not. You're surprised, you know. I've gone right in there. I've done it. It shows that anything is possible with good, positive, focused energy. The human race is a wonderful, wonderful, amazing gift. Embrace it. You are amazing. Nothing is impossible. They climbed Everest. They sailed around the world. They win trophies. People who are disabled do Olympics. Nothing is beyond them. Nothing stops us. We are a great species. Never give up. Stay positive. Stay focused. Never give up. I have done it in the world of mathematics. I have reached my Everest. I have done it. The survival sum for 10 billion people is 3,000 billion a week. The survival sum for 20 billion people is 6,000 billion a week. The survival sum for 30 billion people is 9,000 billion a week. I have gone way over the world population figure. Way over. I have done it. Never give up. Stay positive. We want to create a corporation that helps our fellow human beings. There's 5 minutes remaining on this. To quickly go down. If there was 100 billion people on planet Earth, the population, the survival cost is 30,000 billion a week, every week. So I've gone up to 100 billion people. The world estimated population figure is 6.5 billion. I've gone up to 100 billion people. I've gone up to 200 billion people. I've gone up to 300 billion people, which is 90,000 billion. Now that's clever. If there was 300 billion people on planet Earth, the survival cost is 90,000 billion. The estimated world population is 6.5 billion. I think it's about 7 or 8. But I've gone up for 10 billion people, the survival sum is 3,000 billion a week. If there was 20 billion people, the survival sum is 6,000 billion a week. If it was 30 billion people, the survival sum is 9,000 billion a week. If it was 40 billion people, it's 12,000 billion a week. If it's 50 billion people, it's 15,000 billion a week. If it's 60 billion people, it's 18,000 billion a week. If it's 70 billion people, it's 21,000 billion a week. If it's 80 billion people, it's 24,000 billion a week. If it's 90 billion people, it's 27 billion a week, thousand billion a week. If it's 100 billion people, it's 30,000 billion a week. If it's 200 billion people, it's 60,000 billion a week. If it's 300 billion people, it's 90,000 billion a week. I've done it. So we go back to the start, where we do our mainframe safety net system for 10 billion people, which is 3,000 billion a week. We double it to be in the safe zone, so we do a safety net system for 20 billion people, which is 6,000 billion a week. That's the survival sum for planet Earth for the future of mankind. For a population figure of 20 billion people, 6,000 billion a week. For a world estimated population figure of 10 billion people, is 3,000 billion a week. But we double it to be in our safe zone, so we'll do a sum and a formula for 20 billion people. So the survival sum and formula for 20 billion people is 6,000 billion a week. That will cover them for food hampers, water, living expenses and emergency equipment for 1 week. The accommodation, again, you'd have to double it. So the survival sum for the human race for 20 billion people is 6,000 billion a week. If you wanted to include emergency accommodation, you double it, so that would be 1,200,000 billion a week. To solve the world, everyone accommodation, emergency food, emergency equipment, living expenses, it is 1,200,000 billion a week. The survival sum for 20 billion people is 6,000 billion a week. So the survival sum, including accommodation, is 1,200 billion a week. $1,200,000. Gonna have to double check that. That last sentence, delete. For 10 billion people, the survival sum is 3,000 billion. For 20 billion people, the survival sum is 6,000 billion. For 10 billion people, the survival sum, if you doubled it with accommodation, is 6,000 billion a week. So, to solve the world every week for the future of mankind, the sum is 6,000 billion a week. That's to give them a place to live, accommodation, living expenses, food hampers, food, water, living costs and emergency equipment, and emergency accommodation like emergency hotels, or to pay housing companies to pay the rent for each person. That example would be 6,000 billion a week. But to give people just food, living expenses and emergency equipment for 10 billion people is 3,000 billion a week. So that's the survival sum. Again, if we were to add accommodation, the survival sum for 10 billion people is 6,000 billion. So if you have a pen and a piece of paper, we wanted to do a survival sum for 10 billion people. Okay, the survival sum for 10 billion people on planet Earth for the future of mankind is 6,000 billion a week. Every week for the future of mankind. Also, United States of America, certain countries have early warning centres for their population figure. America doesn't. I don't want to do the doomsday thing. Don't panic. I'm sure that won't happen. You know, apparently they don't for the whole of their population. Certain other countries do, but it's just such a big country. But don't do the doomsday thing, because that won't happen, because we have security computerized systems in place for that never to happen. Always be positive and focused, that is just some recorded data I wanted to record on these DVDs. This is a series of DVDs recording data and ideas for Project IQ and Project 1X and for the ZXI Corporation. This is Record and Go live recording. I'm Herbert Hexon, a mathematician. Thank you very much.